We have now, I have to remember to wait before I get started. We have now CakePHP installed. We also notice that it is connected to our database. So we're ready to go, but CakePHP again is not Laravel, it's not CodeIgniter, it's not the last two that we've done. CakePHP is a little different, and you have to get yourself acclimated to the file structure so you get a better idea of how CakePHP reads itself. Now we looked at the configuration and the bootstrap and all this stuff. One thing you're going to notice in config is there is a routes folder or file. And the routes file, as you can tell, bases itself off of the slash. This is the base slash. Now since we're already hooked up to a virtual server, we don't have to worry about naming conventions like we did with CodeIgniter. But as you can see, the way they put things together, the pages and all that stuff, we're going to get rid of all this. But when you look, you see the controller is pages, you see the action is display, and we call it home. Now, that right here, the way this array is structured in the builder object or variable, whatever, it's an object, but the way it's structured is that the connect functionality looks for the actual page first, the URL, and then in this array it looks for the controller and what function in that controller it's going to utilize. This home is just another, it's basically a nickname or whatever you want to call it. It's sort of like a namespace. It's just, if you put in home, it'll be that, so that's all that is. And then when you look at pages, display, and all that stuff, this is just saying that all the pages, anything that comes after pages slash will just come up, you could just display. We're not going to do things like that. We're going to do things a little bit more obvious. But this would not tell you exactly where this is coming from, more or less. And you'll notice that if you make another page, like if we were to go here and we were to say, let's get rid of this shit. Well, we'll keep it in for now. But if we were to go here and we were to say builder, connect, and we called this, let's call it register. And the controller, we're going to call it, the controller, which by the way, we have to spell correctly, and we have to put in capital users, and the action will be register. If we were to put that in, all right, let me save that. First thing we have to do is we have to create the folder. Well, first we have to create the controller. The controller area is, where are we? The controller area is in the, where is it? Templates, resources, plugins, source. There it is. The control area is here. Now, the app controller is what we're basing it off of. And as you can see, it just gives us Flash, request handler, it just gives us that. Error controller is just what the errors come out of. It's all this shit. Pages controller is what they had in there. You see this? I don't like this. This kind of coding makes me sick to my stomach. I can't stand. I mean, it's easy to read. If not path, redirect to the thing. This is more or less telling it that if you don't get a specific URL path that's within this controller, it's going to just redirect you. It's a redirect. I don't like this kind of coding. It's all over the place. So we're going to make a users controller, and we have to call the users controller, and we have to make sure it's capital, and we have to go like this, and we have to do the namespace. Namespace just basically says where we're looking. App controller. And then we have to use cake controller. Was it controller? Yeah, controller. Actually, wait, I think is it app controller? No, wait, was it? Hold on. My fault, I'm just double checking myself. I never trust myself. I never do. One second. Let me just go over here. Yeah, it's cake controller. I'm always right, and then we extend the app control. That's what it is. And then class users controller extends app controller. Open that up. Now, so if we make the public function of register, and we open that up, we don't have to do anything else. Okay, we don't have to do anything else other than make a view page or a view template. We go to templates, and here you'll see all these different things, and you'll see pages. We make a new file. No, not a new file. Sorry, let me get rid of that. We make a new folder, and we'll call it users. You don't really need to capitalize it, but I'm just going to do it right now. And then we go register.php. With all that being done, if we go here and we go to /register, if you notice, you still have this, you still have this. We don't want that. We don't want CakePHP. We don't want documentation, but we don't want it. But if you're looking at the routes, there's nothing here that would lead you to understand where exactly all this is coming from. You won't find out. Like, it doesn't, it's not like all the other ones where you would know, oh yeah, you have to, this here, this default template is in layout, and it's default. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at this. You see the case. So if you get rid of the top navs here, where it says top navs, if you change this to CRM, and get rid of that span, we don't need it. It's going to be CRM. Now it's going to be in red. We don't want that in red, per se. Maybe you do. It's also going to be spaced in the center area. And when it comes to the documentation, you can basically get rid of that and more or less make this. See how it's a target blank and all that stuff, so it'll take you to the documentation and everything. You can make this no, because we have it as login. We're just going to get rid of it. We can just get rid of it. Gone. And now it's gone. But if you notice, the background is still like a bluish. This has still got that certain font and everything. If you want to know where all that's coming from, you got to look at the top here. And I mean, I don't need any of this shit, but it's there. But you see this cake description variable? We're going to get rid of that. And we're going to just say CRM for your fucking customers. And you notice that title up there, right? They're getting that. Oh, sorry. I'm in quotes. Do you even... Yeah, I guess you do. They're getting this cake description, they're getting this from whatever. But if you hit refresh, now it says CRM for your fucking customers. But if you look here, right? Meta icon, fetch title, see the cake description right here? That's where they're getting the title from. So they put cake description, and it's fetching the title from this variable. This is stuff that we can easily express in the views and in the controllers. But again, and you see here, railway, that's where the font is. You can change the font if you want. They only have the 400 and the 700. You can add more to it if you'd like. But all of this, you notice how they do these things? Everything's basically, it's so object-oriented. But look at this. CSS, normalize, milligram, cake, right? All of this, you wouldn't notice if you just looked at it in its base views. All of this is in their CSS. And their CSS, like where is it, right? The CSS files are in the resources. No, they're in the, where is it? Models. Where are you? Email. There it is, and in the web room. And if you look here, Cake CSS, Home CSS, see they have all these files here. And just look at this CSS. They have the media screens for the different sizes of the screens. They have the error containers. They have the paginators, paginations, input. This is just the Cake CSS. If you look at the Home CSS, which is the actual page, they have the color, you see the base color, the success color, the problem before, but like all that is here. Image, everything. And then if you look at milligram.min, it's uglified. It's all in one line. Now, it's easy. You can just go like this. All you have to do is click on with this, and then you hit save. And then it brings it down to be, when you're using Visual Studio Code, you can do that. You just click on it, hit save, and then it brings it all down so you can get a better look at it. And if you look, font size, EMs, font weight, 300, that's the base. Roboto is the font family that they go for the body default font family. If you look at the background or the color of the fonts, we got this color here. Block quotes, all this. And now look at how much is going on here. Background color, the base background color is that with the inputs and everything. Look what's going on here. This is all done for you. You don't have to do anything else. Labels, everything's taken care of. And the same thing with normalize. You just click on it and you hit save. And there you go. The thing about Cake is you can go to the default and you can just get rid of all these. If you get rid of all this CSS, let's just kind of, well, let's sort of cancel it out a bit for a second. I don't even know if that's going to work with this. Let me just clear it out. If you clear it out, you get this. And at this point, you can make your own style sheets. But the reason why I'm pointing this out to you is because it is so difficult to find this with CakePHP. Like I said, I've been using it for about a month, and look how long it toot me to figure it out. Web root, CSS, you have everything. You have JavaScript here, and we're going to put some JavaScript in there. Images, and you see, this is where they have the Cake images and everything like that. And we're going to put another folder in there, and we're going to call it users. This one we're going to put in lowercase. That's for the users' pictures and everything like that. So if you want to include these things, as you can see, they already fetch the script, fetch the CSS. They're fetching variables that are now being, with this HTML object, they're being referenced. That way, if you want, now we're not going to use any JavaScript here, but if you wanted to, you would go HTML, and it's already being referenced here, script, and then within a variable, you would put whatever script you want. Now, we don't have any script folders or files for this, but just to say, we'll just put in main. And with that, now you have to put it in a main page. If you don't put it in a main page, it's going to have a freaking heart attack. So let's put in main.js. If you were to hit refresh and then look what all that is doing for you. Oh, okay, whatever. I didn't notice that DevTools thing down there. Look what all that's doing for you. It's putting in a fav icon. It's putting in a fav icon. It's putting in the railway. It's putting in the CSS folders. It's putting in then there you go, main.js. So if you were to do a main.js, if you were to do an window.onload equals function, and you were to say alert, suck it, it should work. Well, let's see if it works. Let's see if my onload, there you go. So it's now being referenced. It's now being referenced because we put that in there. Of course, I don't want it to say suck it when you log. We'll get rid of that. But that's the thing about this. Now, here's the fun part. No matter what you do, if you do not tell Cake that you want to use a different format or a different layout, it will always default to that layout. Or either you're going to make your own layout, which we are, and we're going to make it right now. We're going to call it base. Base.php. If you make your own layout, you have to tell it you have to tell it that you want to do that. Now, we're going to get into that later, but what I'm saying is that we're going to make a bit. We're going to use this for now. We're going to use this for now, but there are a couple of things that I want to add to it. We're going to use the default as it is, but I want to make another CSS page. So we go to CSS and we make another CSS page. We're going to call it main. And we're going to make another CSS page. We're going to call it pages. And if I want to get really technical, I'll make another CSS file, and we're going to call it login. Right? Okay. The main, I'm just going to add a couple of main things. I'm just going to add a class called wrapper, which I always do, which is width 800 pixels, margin 0 auto. We're also going to make a main heading, which is going to be text align center, because I like to kind of do that whole thing with the headings and stuff. We're going to let Cake's styling determine the size, though. We're just going to put the spacing in. So, you know, I like that. And then we're going to do something called background. You know how I like to have the heading and it's centered and then there's all this other stuff. And background, because this is a bluish background as default, the background, and as long as we keep implementing their styling pages, it's going to have a blue background. The background, we're going to give it background color of white, border, radius of 10 pixels, maybe. Box shadowing, we're going to do, wait, let me think, 3 pixels, 5 pixels. We'll try that out for now. And we'll go 5 pixels again, and we'll just go RGBA, and we'll make it black with, because it has the contrast, and we'll do it a little light tone, and we're going to go padding, because I love my padding. With those implemented, we can now, and I also want to make another one called main logo. Oh, no, we'll just call it logo. And we'll make the color a little bit of a bluish color. We'll go RGB, and we'll say 26, 39, and we'll go, well, hold on, let's do 15, 18, 46. All right, we'll do that. Now, with that, we have to add that in here. So we have to go main, and now, if we go here, and we give this a class of logo, wait, did I put in my main? Yeah, logo. Let me I'll keep that open. No, let me get rid of that for now. Let me just go over here for a sec. And it's in there. That's the right, am I looking at the right thing? Yeah, class logo. Well, I didn't misspell anything that I'm aware of. Let me go. Let me try that. Let me go like this. I shouldn't have to put logo A, but I'm still not changing. Well, anyway, but like I said, so that's pretty much how this works. Yeah, you have to. The fetch fetches the HTML array, and that array puts it to look like this. That's what we're doing here. So if you want to add anything, and like I said, when we get to the actual base that we're doing, what are we up to? Come on, show me. 20 minutes. All right. So when looking at the base of what we're doing, that's pretty much, that's how you build it. And you see how it says fetch content, flash render, and everything. We have to do all that when we make our own. As of now, we're going to go into register. You have to put in a user before you can actually log in a user. So we go into register, and all we have to do now is we just go like this. We build a form, okay? But before we build the form, we have to actually pass a user in. Now, we don't have any models and we don't have any entities. CakePHP separates models between entities and tables. Entities are individual model inputs. For instance, we call it user.php, and now we use the namespace in order to bypass all the folders and get to the one we want of app. And I'm pretty sure it's model, right? Is it model table or something? It's not table. It's app. I haven't built one of these in a while. Give me a sec. That's why I keep these around. Okay, so let's see. Model entity, that's what it was. So app, model entity, and we're going to use cake ORM entity. And now we go class, not class user extends entity. The only thing that we really need to do with the entities is we need to tell it, I mean, there are lots of things you can do with the entity, but we need to really tell it what we can update and install and everything. And that's basically going to be, let me make sure I got this right. The variable called is accessible. Now they change it, one of them is writable, readable, whatever, but this one is accessible. So protected variable of accessible equals, and it's an array, of course. What we want to be able to write into it is we want to be able to write everything, so that's true. We want to be able to write in profile, which is going to reference the profile, that is true. We want to be able to write into it note maybe? What did I put in there originally? Customer, well, okay, I guess I put a customer in there. Customer. I did link them? I don't know why. Whatever. And then, of course, ID, we want false. And that's pretty much all we have to do for the entity. For the table, it's a little bit deeper. I can go deeper. We have to call it users table, because that's the name of the table. So we name the table exactly what the table in the database is named. And that's use cake, and it's another object, whatever, table, and then we go class users table extends table. And the one thing that we want to do is we want to set behavior. Because one of the behaviors we want to set is timestamp. This way it automatically, not stampe, it automatically extends the timestamp functionality. And what that means is that this add behavior, or set behavior actually. It's add behavior. And now it knows that whenever it updates something, what's your problem? Oh yeah, I forgot to, before we do that. We have to initialize public. This is why I put in all the CakePHP stuff. Add behavior, now we're talking timestamp. We also, because of association, we also want to tell it its associated behaviors. Has one profiles. This has many. I'll put this in here for now. Did I actually put customers in there? I did. I don't know why I did that. And we don't really need that. I mean, I guess. No, I don't really need that. I really don't. I'm thinking about it. I mean, I guess we could put it. I don't know. We'll put it in. We'll just put it in. Maybe I do. But if you notice, there was also a validation thing that's going on over there, and we're going to do that too. But the way we have to add that, this is how you validate. If you want to do things via the way CakePHP forms work, you put in validate cake validation. Was validation? Oh, let me see. Validate, right? Validate. And then from there, I guess we have to relate the customers then. I'm just trying to figure out the logic behind why I would do that. The way that Cake does validation, if you're using their forms, which we will, is you create a validation default, which is going to return a validator variable, and that is this. And from there, we're going to just say what we want. Now, I'm not going to make the username or the password required. CakePHP automatically implements in its form controls the HTML required. You can say, well, the HTML gets bypassed. That's fantastic. But we can verify that there's information there without using this. And the reason why is because we're going to use, for the profile updates, we're going to use the form. And with that, it gets a little confusing and it screws things up if you don't have, because you're not going to be able to change your username. You should be able to change your password, but I don't want to do it there. We can do that later on, but whatever the case. So we go min length is one of the rules that we want for username. And we want a min length of 5. And we want the message to be your username cannot be less than 5 characters long. We add another one of max length, and we said it was username. And we have to name everything what we're naming it here. So don't forget that. And that's the length, and then your username cannot be more than 50 characters. With the password, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm just going to put in a max length, and I'm going to explain to you why. Let's say 150. Your password. If you want, you could put in other validations. You don't have to just put in password of 150. You could put in, numerical. You can do a regular expression. You can do all that. It's all in the documentation. And then, because it's looking for a validator, we have to return the validator. This is now ready for us to implement anything and do an actual check once we put the form together. But now that we have an entity, what we can then do is we can then pass the entity by calling user equals this user's new empty entity. What that's saying right now is, what are we up to in time? Okay, we're at 30 minutes. I got to do this fast. What that's saying is, that's saying to the controller, just double checking me. That's saying to the controller, we're going to make a variable called user. And that variable is going to be this, the user's table, and it's going to be a new empty entity. So now at this point, we can pass the user variable, and we're going to do that. We're going to this set user to user. If we were to go to the, if we were to go to the where's my register? Register. If we go to the register page, and we don't have to do any DDs or anything like that. If we go to the register page and we go like this, if you notice, it says one variable. What's that one variable? User. And there it is. That's our new empty entity. What we said here, real simple, is we said that the user is this, meaning we're referencing this class known as the user's table, and we're going to make a new entity, which is a new singular entry into the user's table class. That's how the naming convention works here in CakePHP. You have to make sure that you name everything in the pluralized version, and you have to make sure that you pass it using the reference to itself, the pluralized version, the table name, which is the pluralized version, and then a new empty entity, meaning that we're going to take a singular entry, a singular entity, user entity. So now, when it looks at the user entity, it's going to know, oh yeah, okay, so if you reference profile, customer, ID, whatever, it knows not to add anything to the ID, that the ID is going to be automatic, but everything else is fair game when you input any kind of data. And we can also reference the profile of the customer, which is all related, despite the fact I didn't make those entities. So now we have to make those entities, or at least we have to make the profile entity, because that's going to be part of the registration. I want to do that next time because we're already over an hour long, or half an hour long. So it's going to be a few more days, but when I return, we're going to make some more models. We're going to make some more entities, tables. We're going to get the registration done. We're going to get the login done. We're going to do the dashboard. We're going to do everything that's user related. When I return, I'll see you then.